Welcome to the space where creators have aligned a positive and intellectual collab of open minds for sharing and learning from one another. It's a vibe. We do Rosa podcast on the mic. Subscribe, educator spitting bars. I guess you didn't know I'm multifaceted and humble, taking off life goals. The classroom is my comfort zone where I plant and sow seeds of knowledge, compassion, empathy, and hope. Reading is the key to unlocking your potential. Countless benefits, including cognitive and mental. Regardless of the genre, books are highly influential. Go get yours, I'll get mine. Making strides, monumental. Come rock with me and get down to this new jam. With my friends, I had a very simple plan. Educate the masses through books and life lessons. It's the grand slam. I'm out. Welcome to the Reads with Rosa podcast. I'm so excited to introduce today's guest. She is active in many areas of the performing arts, from dancing and choreography to acting and singing to designing costumes behind the scenes. She is also a Castle Queens alum and an amazing role model and advocate for the youth and LGBTQIA+ community. She is born and bred in the EFKS church. She is also a fellow West Aucklander, and she is the director of Le Masiofo Siva Academy. Introducing the one and only Jaroncye Lole. What's up, sis? Finally got you here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
How are you? Looking beautiful there. Cut it
I'm
out.
good. I was just looking at my camera. I'll just throw something on for this interview.
You're looking fab, sis. I feel like our regular listeners, they probably know you. But for those who are watching for the first time and don't really know the amazing person that you are, tell us a little bit about yourself, like your roots, maybe a bit about your family. Like, who is Jaroncye?
Cool. So, who am I? So, my name is Jaroncye Lole. Born and bred in West Auckland. What else? I'm Samoan. I come from the villages of Mataatufa Latai and also from Mataatufu Lotfanga. Actually, no, I'm not 28 years of age. I'm actually 29. I just turned 29 on Monday.
Oh, happy belated birthday, sis.
Oh,
how rude of me. I should have put balloons or something behind me. Say, umala fakung yo palungi eke. Sorry, go ahead.
29 years of age. I am a proud member of the Pacific LGBTQIA+ community. A strong advocate for my community as well. Not just being LGBTQIA+, but also being of Pacific descent as well. I am also the creative director of the Masiofo Siva Academy. Basically, if not the biggest, in West Auckland, the biggest Siva Samoa Academy in all of Auckland. Recently, we had a term that we did. We did a 10-week term with our kids. We had a total of 250 kids enroll within our 10-week program. So yeah, that's basically been my dream since forever. I mean, if someone was to ask me how long have you been dancing, it's basically somebody asking me, when did you speak your first words? How old were you when you spoke your first words? So it's basically like that for me. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself.
You know, it's interesting that you bring up, because that was my first question. I feel like people don't even know how active you are. Like, you're not just active in the performing arts community. You're active in all different areas of the performing arts. Like, not just as a director, which we'll get to your children soon. We'll get to your kids, your beautiful kids, who I was lucky enough just before I came back, I got to see them perform in Blockhouse Bay at a community event. So we'll talk about them later. But I mean, you're so active in so many different areas of the performing arts in Auckland, and I was excited to get you on here because I feel like West Auckland does not get no one gives West Auckland flowers.
Exactly.
sis, I was like, yo,
that is
Jaroncye.
tea.
Like a lot, like I've seen you in other, I've seen you with Siva creators, which we'll get
Yep.
to as well, and the amazing work they do at South Auckland. And I've seen you in so
Yes.
many musicals and productions. And I'm like, when you actually started your academy, I was like, yo, that's it. See, bringing it out west, because your academy shows just the passion that so many of our young people, and we're not just talking young people, we're talking even the young ones, like 5 years of age, like,
Mm.
coming up through primary school. So I know I'm getting excited, but back to the question of like, when did, like, I guess, who were your influences, like, in terms of like getting into dance, getting into, because you're an actress as well. You make costumes. Like, how did you, the acting and the dancing and the singing, like, where does that come from? Is it mum's bloodline or is it dad's bloodline? Like, yeah, where do you get it from?
I think just being a performer, I think it just runs naturally within us Polynesians, you know. Everyone's a performer. If you're not a dancer, you're a singer. If you're not a singer or a dancer, you're an actor or actress. You can't not be one of the three, at least, I know for myself, I'm not like putting myself out there, but you probably took all
put
three from
yourself put yourself out there. Put yourself out there, West Auckland. That's what's up. Do it, sis. Do it.
Yeah, well, I think, well, just in terms of my background in performing arts, so my dad's family, so all of my dad's family, they're all singers. My dad's brothers, my grandfather, they were all singers back in the days. They used to have like those. Do you remember back in the days where like you'd have like the old cassette tapes of like your uncles and they're all standing there with the matching island shirts like this? That was my dad. So that was my dad and his brothers. They had those kind of cassette tapes. And then you have people like my mom's family. So my mom's family, they're all, we come from a long line of dancers. But not only that, my mom's brothers, my grandfather, they all compose songs. For if it's not church stuff, it's for village stuff. My late grandfather on my mum's side, he actually composed one of the V's for our village, which is very well known today. So, it's just thinking back to, how it was for our family like 50, 60 years back, and just thinking, wow, I can't believe, that was my dad, oh, I can't believe that was my mom, stuff like that. And it's that kind of, it's those kind of things that resonate with me so deeply. And it's just, not everyone is blessed to have, a dad that can sing, a mum that can compose songs, a mum that can dance, stuff like that. So, I hold that stuff very dearly to me, especially when it comes to, performing in front of people and stuff like that. You know, um, my nana, my nana and my mom, so they were like my first teachers when it came to Siva Samoa, whether it was dancing like a boy or dancing like a girl. So, they've always told me, every time you dance, don't do it for yourself, but do it for the love of dancing, don't just do it for the sake of it, but more so, do it because you love it, because you love Siva, you love to sing, you love to dance and stuff like that. Which brings me back to the name of Le Masiofo Siva Academy. So a lot of people ask me, oh, where did you come up with the name and stuff like that? And the story behind the name is basically I've named I've named it Le Masiofo Siva Academy is because I've named it after my two first teachers of Siva Samoa, which happens to be my mum and my nana. So because my mum and my nana are both the matriarchs of our family, they're always going to be my Masiofos. And if it was one thing that I could give back to my mum and my nana, this was it. And and it was, people like, why the Masiofo? Why the Masiofo? Why did you use these names? And I said, well, it's very personal to me. You know, it's you know, the story behind it is very dear to me, and um, yeah,
Yeah, you
that's
know, okay,
that's
so let's
basically it.
I love it. So then let's just carry on and talk about this beautiful. I mean, I got to see, and it wasn't even your whole group. I think it was the older part of the group
Yes, our
that,
open class. Yeah.
yeah, and you know, honestly, like, let's talk about your group of tutors first. Like,
Yes.
so how did you bring them together? Like, are they like friends that you've not? Are they friends, or did you have to, or did they have to audition to become part of the team? What was your selection process there? Because all your tutors bring something unique to, from the music to the dance to the costume making. They all bring something to the academy. So
Mm.
yeah, how did you make those decisions? Because it must have been hard.
It definitely was hard for me.
Mm.
You know, this is something that I've been wanting to bring to life for so long. And you know, in terms of choosing the right people, you know, I had to choose people who I knew were going to work well, you know, being together. So everyone that I chose for our team, um, you know, I've had like different experiences with them in the past in terms of performing arts. So starting off with our music director. So our music director is Mone Nakatani. So Mone Nakatani is one of my best friends. He's not Samoan, he's actually Niuean. And so, you know, the love that Mone has for music, you know, especially Samoan music. You could play any Samoan song in front of Mone and he will sing it word for word right in front of you.
You know what? It's
And
so interesting that you say that he's not even Samoan, because I didn't even know that. Like,
yeah,
I honestly thought he had some Samoan in him, because you wouldn't even know that he's not Samoan.
yeah, no. So Mone is Niuean, Tongan, Papua
Oh,
New Guinean. So he has no Samoan in him whatsoever. But you know, if there's one thing that Mone always tells me is that music is universal, and you know that language is universal. So you know, you can play any song in whatever language, and if it speaks to you, then so be it. And you know, I'm just fortunate enough to have me, you know, one of my best friends, you know, do take care of everything, you know, to do with the music, the band, um, and you know, it was just, you know, I know it was such a big job for him because you know, one, him not being Samoan, I think
mm.
that was the biggest thing for him was not being Samoan. Also, two, I think another thing was, trying to teach, you know, because what we wanted to do is, you know, we wanted the kids to sing their own songs. You know, if you're dancing to it, you might as well sing it as well. And I think, you know, that was another challenge that Mone faced. But you know, obviously myself and the rest of our team are going to be there to help him. So yeah, Mone took care of all the music. Also his band, so that was Ivan Fremono, Eric Chanfern, Shama Lemana, Izzy Robertson, and also Wiki Lefai. So that was basically all of our music and our band. Then we had our line of tutors. So we have Aina Tuwaiti, who is actually one of my cousins. So usually, you know, every time we have family gatherings, you know, obviously, you know, families, you know, a wedding, a birthday, obviously all the cousins are gonna dance. And so with our family, you know, there's so many of us girl cousins, you know, every wedding or every birthday we're bound to perform. And Ina's one of those girls where you could just look at her and you know, there's probably like 50 of them dancing, but you're drawn to the one. And Inga's one of those dancers. And I've always been a big fan of the way Inga dances too, because you know how, you know, there's a saying that says, you know, e ongo mea, you know, kenga lapupoa I kenge, you know, laiki. You know, the bigger girls are a lot more graceful than the skinny girls. And you know, that's what I saw in Inga because, you know, the way she dances, it's not it's not more so dancing because of the sake of it, but you can see it in her facial expression too. If she's not feeling the music, she's smiling. She's giving you teams across the board, smiling. To everybody. And I've had a discussion with her previously too. I was like, have you ever thought of joining dance groups and stuff like that? She was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind. Obviously, I love to dance and stuff like that, but just never had the opportunity to do so. And I always had that at the back of my head too. So as I was, selecting people, obviously, I had to have Aya in there as well. Even though, she doubted herself at first, but I was like, if anything, we're all taking the biggest leap of faith right now, in terms of this academy. And I'm so proud of her, for also coming out of her shell as well. Speaking of coming out of her shell, one of our other shooters, Jaroncye Lole, this was a big challenge for her too. And she always told me, she was like, why have you chosen me? Why have you chosen me? I'm not even a good dancer, stuff like that. But with Rosemary, it's not so much being a good dancer; it's seeing her work ethic. With when it comes to being around kids and stuff. So Rosemary is also the whailakusi for her youth. I think it's her Sunday school, and she's also a Sunday school teacher too. So I knew, and I was like, Rosemary's one of those girls that can work well with kids. And, that's something that I don't have. Like I wouldn't say, yeah, I'm really good with kids. I'm really good with young kids. Because honestly, I'm not. Like, if anything, I'm standing and freeze. And, Rosemary's the type, she'll she'll be like, come, let's all sit down,
Yeah.
let's play a game, blah, blah, blah. I can't do that. I'm the type of person who's like, no, everyone get up, formation. So, it was good to have those kind of people that balanced you out, because we didn't want it to be more so, shoving curry and songs down their throats every time we had practice. We wanted to, let loose of them, play a few warm-up games and stuff like that. So that's Rosemary. We also have Tessa, Kumayu, feeling more Kumayu. And Raymond Lemanumatangi. So Tessa I've known through the EFKS. So she's also one of the youth leaders for EFKS Sandringham. And we've always seen each other youth staff and stuff like that. So I know Tessa is a strong leader, and I've seen videos of Tessa dancing. Always been a big fan of her work ethic too. And then we have Raymond Matangi, who I've seen perform. The one day I saw Raymond perform, and I went live on Facebook too, and I saw him perform. I'm like, man, you cannot find guys that can dance so graceful like that even today. And it was more so like I really wanted Raymond to be in the group. Not because of, because he's a male and he can dance gracefully, but it was more so the fact of, Raymond coming into the space. And because I know Raymond loves to dance as well, he probably loves to Siva more than I do. And, just seeing people, commenting when we started releasing our social media, people were like, oh my gosh, Raymond, about time, I'm so happy for you. And stuff like that. And so, seeing all of that, all of Raymond's cousins and his friends, sharing everything. And I'm like, thank God that, we were able to, I was able to bring Raymond into this group, because, all of this, all the comments and, sharing of our social media just speaks for itself in terms of, how much Raymond loves to see, how much, how much he loves to see Samoa, teaching Siva Samoa as well. And it was just, I think it was just one of those things where, even though I didn't know Raymond that much, on a personal level, but was more so seeing the fact that, our mutual ground was, the love of Siva Samoa, and I could see it in the way Raymond dances too. Um, yeah, it was just like, I definitely want him in the group. I definitely wanted Tissa in the group too. And it was just, one by one, messaging everyone. Hi, blah blah blah. This is so random. It was so random. Honestly, I was just like randomly messaging everyone at like, God knows what hours of the night. Like 2 o'clock in the morning. And some of them would be like, oh, I just need to pray on it and stuff like that, which was fine. It was a big ask. Coming from someone like me, and it was just like, when everybody said yes, I was just like, this is it. West Auckland is gonna go off, and it was just honestly, and if anything, like honestly, all the Southsiders, they're always dogging us. I will say
Yeah,
that right now, like all the
honestly,
Southsiders, they dog us hard out, and if it
man.
was one thing, I was like, nah, I'm gonna make sure that this is gonna go off for West Auckland, and everybody knows it too. Everyone knows that I'm a diehard Westie. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, West Side till I die, straight up.
That's what's up. And
Honestly,
honestly, sis, it's so funny because I would see you performing in these productions out, musicals out South Auckland. And
yeah.
so I'm watching these clips and you'd be and I'm just like, yo, where's Auckland at? So when I saw you and your academy did that first recital, honestly, where did all those kids come from? Because tell me, they couldn't have been all your family. Stop it now. Amazing.
Honestly,
It
and it
was
was,
beautiful.
yeah, it's honestly, it was just seeing everyone, on that stage. It was like,
Man, it was so
man,
powerful.
yeah, I couldn't believe, just seeing all of the kids coming on stage. Honestly, I stood there and I literally wanted to bawl my eyes out because, it wasn't the fact that, I did this, I did this, I did this. I was just seeing the look on these kids' faces, coming out, bucking, boring, like singing their lungs out,
Yeah.
smiling, waving to their families on stage, like the little kids. They honestly, they stole my heart.
And
I went back
the
to
thing
that
with
show.
the thing with the little kids that I absolutely loved, and going back to your point about the importance of singing the songs that the Siva songs. There wasn't one. Every little child on that stage knew the Pakiempo, knew
Mm,
the dance moves, and they knew all the words. And then you said that it was a 10-week preparation. I mean,
yes.
how? First of all, who owns all those kids? I was like, that can't be all New EFKS. Surely there's a not. Where? I mean, where are the kids from? Are they all from West Auckland? And then how difficult was it to get everyone so in sync, all the different age groups? Oh my God, big shout out to Le Masiofo Siva Academy tutors, because what you guys did, honestly, sis, I just can't, like, no words.
Honestly, it's even up till now, like a month after our show, I could sit here and still be overwhelmed at the
Mm,
fact that, you know, what had unfolded, before us,
mm,
at the recital. So, um, not all of those kids are from West Auckland.
mm,
Um, we had kids from Central Auckland, South Auckland. We had kids
wow.
from the North Shore. Drive out to be a part of the Masiofo. And it was just like, I could pinpoint, some kids would be like, hey, aren't you from this academy? Aren't you from this academy? They're like, yeah, but, we still want to keep dancing. And I was like, see, like, it was that kind of, when those kids said that to me, they're like, yeah, we are, but, we still want to keep dancing. And I was like, man, these things need to, these kind of things need to thrive in Auckland because
Yeah.
honestly, um, 240 kids that ended up on that stage. So we started with 320. So when we closed our registration, we had a total of 320 kids sign up. But then as we progressed throughout the weeks, kids were slowly dropping out because of other commitments. And we're all like, no, that's fine, that's totally fine. You got to do what you got to do at the end of the day. But secretly, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, like the numbers are going down.
Man, but still, you're saying that, but the fact that you still were able to get 240 kids on that stage, I mean,
Yeah.
I've never, like you said, like I like how you said that at the beginning, like, if anything, this is probably the biggest academy because I haven't seen, like, I've seen other groups, right? But it's very selective, and I can understand why groups are very selective.
Mm,
But it wasn't just the age range, the range of ages on the stage, but 240. I mean, just props to your team, like huge shout out to your team to achieve that.
thank
And then
you.
just the parents, right? The parents for
Oh my gosh, yes,
supporting.
the parents. Yeah. Can't go
Man.
wrong with the parents.
Ah, right. While we're talking about parents, I want to jump in and talk about your mum because your mum. I mean, I remember her. I always remember her from church. Pulenga
Yeah.
things. Man, your mum is. Every time I see you, doing the Siva Samoa. She's always there to Aiuli behind you. She's always
Yeah.
there supporting. If I saw you doing a Tongan dance, she was there to support. I think I saw you doing recently a Cook Island dance. She was there to support. I
Mm.
mean, your mum is just tell us about the relationship that you have with your mum because I don't think I've ever seen you at a performance where she hasn't been there. Like she is someone that has your back. Tell us about your
Yes.
beautiful mum.
Um. So my mom, like, she's my best friend. Um. Sometimes, we could be like, arguing each other, but in the next minute, we're all like, oh, I'm sorry, Um, no, my mom's literally been there since day dots for me. She hasn't missed one performance. Every performance I have, she's always like, where is it? It doesn't matter how far it is. You know, um, it could be all the way in Manukau or Hamilton. My mom will literally do the drive. She'll be like, yeah, I'll come and watch and stuff like that. Every time I've had to dance, if it's, Cook Island dancing, Tongan dancing, Siva Samoa, like literally my mom's always behind me, being like the best Ayuli ever. Like
Yeah.
if my mom literally is a siren every time, like,
Yes.
she's on the dance floor
Yeah.
or if she's singing, like my mom's, she's got my back 100, that lady. And I'm just so thankful for her because, even my friends, they were like, make sure you tell your mom to come, blah, 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 so she can come and dance, blah, blah, blah. All my friends are like, make sure your mom's there,
Right.
make sure your mom's there. Um, but yeah, no, I'm so thankful for her. And, I can't imagine, my life being an artist without her because, it's without my mom. I probably wouldn't have, um, started this academy or, stuff like that. Every morning, and it's, I see it because, I'm always up at this time. I say every morning at 5 o'clock, my mom's up and she's doing her prayers. And, every time I hear her say, like to keep, to continue, blessing me and, thanking God for the talents that He's, bestowed upon me and stuff like that. It's just stuff that, some of us, tend to take for granted. We don't see, like the love that our parents have for us, whether if it's them being up at 5 o'clock, during their prayers for us, or if it's them driving from Henderson all the way to Papakura to come watch our show and stuff like that. Um, it's You know, my mum's been my best friend. She'll always be my best friend. You know, no matter how many times we argue or stuff like that. Um, but yeah, no, I love her so much. Like I love her with all my heart.
Man.
Um,
She's such an
yeah.
OG because it's not just remembering her. Like, I remember even supporting you through high school. Like, it's not, I think people don't understand that your mum, it's not something where she just recently started coming to support, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I remember her back, cultural group in high school and stuff. I always
Mm,
remember your mum being there. And, I in church, Bulenga, Ifakasa churches, they're the OGs, the OG mums who, it doesn't matter how old they are, they're there for kilikiki, they're there for
exactly.
volleyball,
Yeah.
they're there supporting the kids playing touch, and I wanted to ask, because you are a youth leader, you're a role model in your church, you know, when we think about Ifakasa church, you're born and bred. And now, you've come up through the church, you've had those who have been leaders before you, and now
Yes.
you're a leader. um were you ready to become a leader? How long, was it one of those things that people were preparing, like your generation coming through? Tell us about your church, because I know it's a tight knit community. Shout
Mm.
out to Efaka New Lin. um Do you, sis? Do you? But yeah, tell us about your church family and your youth group, because Olayo Laliko youth group, it's so great to see that, there are youth groups in our Ipakasa church who are still going strong. Tell us about
Mm.
your experiences with your youth and your role in there.
So my role within the youth group is so I'm the fellow kusi for our junior youth. So basically, anything to do with the junior youth, obviously has to come from me or one of the other youth leaders. Um, was I ready to become a leader at the time they appointed that title to me? Yes. But was I ready to become a leader within our junior youth? Not so much.
Mm.
Only because, I know what it takes to become a leader within a youth group. And just thinking back at the time, I wasn't spiritually ready to become a youth leader within our church. Um, within our youth. And I told, our spiritual parents, I don't think I'm ready for this particular role that you've given me. Thank you though, like for thinking of me and stuff like that. But spiritually and mentally, I don't think you know I'm ready for this role. And literally, it only took like a minute for our Falekwa to just turn around and tell me she was like, and she told me she was like, God doesn't put you through these kind of obstacles He knows you can't overcome. Um, there's a reason why myself and Maola have chosen you for this role. If anything, you could probably take on this whole youth by yourself. You probably won't even need the Filicor, the 50 hours help to lead this youth. You can obviously do this yourself, but um, I think it was, I think they wanted me to flourish within the church as well, because they'd see me flourish, like at all of these shows and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Um, I but I think what they wanted me to do is, as all of our spiritual parents want, I think they want to see us flourish within the church, and I think this is why they gave me this role of being a fellow kusi for our youth. And Molly Maola, honestly, they have just been absolute pillars of strength within our youth and within our church as well. Whatever our churches may go through, or even our youth, our spiritual parents are always there to pick us up. Every time we fall down, and I'm so thankful to Reverend Marley and Molly, Reverend Marley and Molly Sarama, just for their prayers, especially upon me as well. They've prayed for me. They've prayed for my well-being. They've prayed for my health. You know, and they always keep telling me, they're like, all these talents that you have, you were meant to, you were meant to start this academy because look, look at how many people turned up. It just shows how much people in the community value your talent. And it's just, every time I always doubt myself, I always think back to what our spiritual parents tell us. So I think, my journey as being a youth leader within our church, I'm the type of person that's, I'm all for the kids, I'm all for the youth, so anything we do, it's all for them. And it's just, it's fitting me asking because just before we went into lockdown on Tuesday night, we had our youth leaders meeting at Denny's.
Of course you did. Just in time.
Like literally, like hours before we went into level 4 lockdown, we were all at Denny's discussing, the future of our youth and stuff like that for the next 6 months, and it was just like, just those little things, the youth leaders coming together, planning stuff, for the kids, for the youth, if it's not team bonding, it's just more so, something to do with fitness, stuff like that. And yeah, I think that's that's one thing that I always carry with me is that Molly and Maola knew that I was ready for this role before I even knew that I was ready for this role.
Man, Jaroncye, you don't even. I can't even put into words how proud I am of you because seeing we've all come through Whakasa, but seeing you now in leadership role, your generation, and I'm just so proud of you. It's just so cool to see youth groups thriving and leadership coming through from people like yourself. Who is a role model in the community, who is doing so much, but then to be able to also give that same passion and those talents, those God-given talents to the young people of your church. I mean, it's just I'm so proud of it. I'm like having like
Thank
a
you.
proud moment, like, oh, if I can start, yeah. I mean, I mean, we've only touched upon just a few things that you've done.
Yeah.
I have like a whole list here. I mean, you're an actress. Stop it. You're an actress. You were on the Housey Wives,
How's you guys? Yeah.
Fresh TV, Coconut, coconut.net. Oh, yeah.
Coconut
See,
TV. Yeah.
Coconut, see, just making it up. But Housey Wives with the likes of Bella Lolo, Stacey
Yes.
Lele. You know what? I'm honestly thinking you guys must have been laughing from start to finish because the chemistry that you guys all have on the in those, even though it's short snippets, I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
wow, they probably did 20 takes of the shot because I can just imagine
Honestly,
all of you laughing like
I swear, like I think this. It's funny. It was the last day of shooting, right? And it was like I don't know. I think it was just the one scene we needed to shoot, and I think everyone was just it had been a long day, um, literally. And honestly, I'm not lying to you. I think it took like at least 20 takes to get it right. And it's if you watch the bloopers, you will see there's a particular bit in there where like I just can't stop laughing. Like I literally cannot stop laughing, and it was like it got to the point where I had to look this hand, I had to like put my hand like this to try and not laugh. Honestly, I was trying to resort to so many things to stop laughing, and then it got to the point where everyone else was like, "Okay, it's not funny now. Just do the scene. We want to go home." Honestly, it took like everything in me to not laugh. Honestly, like I had to think of like some really sad stuff, like to try not to laugh.
how did you get that role? Like how I mean, did you audition or again was it like through connection for different groups that you had been working with? How did you become the actress?
So with Housey Wives, so I knew the writers, Masiofo and Krista Early. Um, it's funny because I think it was a Monday. No, sorry, Saturday. Was the audition. You know, they had called me. They're like, "Hey, we want you to audition for this role. Um, you know, we think you'll be really good at it." So they sent me like the script of a particular scene, and you know, so I had to go and do the audition. And then oh, I don't think I did that well. And then they were like, oh, we'll give you a call on Monday. So Monday came, and you know, I hadn't heard from them, and it was just like, damn. Okay, I probably didn't get it. And then Monday night they called me and they're like, oh, we're just calling you to let you know, then you got the part. Woo-hoo! And I was like, oh my gosh, did I get the part? Honestly, I was so Mika. I was like, oh my gosh, did I get the part? Honestly, it was so hilarious. And it was funny because that Wednesday I was flying out to Brisbane. And that following week they're like, oh, we're gonna start shooting on Tuesday. You know, just letting you know now. And I was like, oh, but I didn't get back from Brisbane until Wednesday. And they're like, oh, can we cut your trip short a few days to get back? I was like, oh, okay, I'm fine. Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, so they flew me back a few days earlier, so that I could, you know, go over the script. And then Tuesday, was the first day of filming. But I swear, I felt like the meanest, like, dummy in there. I was just like, you know, I could see everyone, you know, going over their lines and stuff like that, and I'm just there, like, stuffing my face with my face. And then it's not until I realize, you know, we're about to shoot, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know my bloody lines. And so, like, you know, I'll sit there with my script down here, and then I'll look at it and I'll put it down, and then like, you can't look at your script. I was like, I know, but I haven't done my lines. Honestly, you know, just being in the space, you know, with people who have done this before, it was just like, it was mind blowing for me.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, being with Stacey Leilua, Bella Kalolo, Gaby Solomona, you know, all of these big names, and like, and you just have me like Minty over here, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like the biggest, like, you know, amateur, and they're like, oh, it's so good. There's a reason why we chose you, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like an amateur. But honestly, just being with Stacey, Gaby, Bella, honestly, throughout the whole time we were filming, it was just laughs. Like, if you weren't laughing, we were eating. If you weren't eating, we were shooting. Literally, it was just, honestly, like, you know, I felt like the biggest superstar as well. Like, you know, because when you go on set, you know, they've got like the production team, they've even got like caterers and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is like legit. I was just like, man, you know, I love being in the creative space because, you know, you get to see everyone's work behind the scenes. And it was just like, man, you think that, you know, just watching this kind of stuff on the internet or on the TV, that it's just like a piece of cake. It is not. Like, literally just seeing everyone, you know, like the camera crew, the lighting, the sound, production. I'm like, man, like, big ups to these people, because honestly, it's without these people that, you know, all of these movies and like web series, you know, won't look as good without these kind of people. So yeah.
And they must have paid you well, huh?
Yeah. I'm definitely a superstar now.
Man, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned behind the scenes, because, you know, I had to put it in the introduction that, you know, like, you're such the fashionista, right? You're so fashionable, and, you know, every time I see, you know, stories, or, you know, you're just, everything matches. You can tell you put a lot of thought into your outfit. how much of that do you, because you, like, where I'm leading to is you're someone who is in front of the camera, is a performer, but you do a lot of the hard yards, the hard
Yes.
work behind the scenes. Being the fashionista that you are, how, what do you take from that, and how do you, because I feel like you take that and you just give it all behind the scenes into making, the skirts for whether it's Cook Island, Cook
Mm.
Island dancing, or the Tongan dancing, or Siva Samoa. Like, tell us about your fashion and then these costumes that you bring a team of friends together and you guys just smash out these beautiful, beautiful pieces. And I think I've actually even seen you make a tuinga. Lei, did I make
Yes.
that
Yeah.
up? No. Okay.
Yeah.
So talk.
Yeah. So
Uh,
we've made a few of those too.
yeah. Tell us.
Um. Yeah. If I'm not in front of the camera, I'm behind the camera.
Yeah.
It's honestly it takes a lot, like mentally, physically as well, and it's not a walk in the park. Like, especially when it comes to costuming, and it's just intricate details they do it for me. I'm the type of person that's like, uh, there could be like 20 types of different feathers in front of me, but I'll be like, oh no, I don't want any of them. Can we look at more? It's just like, I'm very much the type of person that's like OCD when it comes to like different costumes. Um, yeah, just recently, so after the Masiofo and Siva Academy show, we had the Kokarin Festival that was based here in Auckland,
Right.
called the Te Maiwhenui New Zealand.
Yes.
Usually this is a big thing back in the Cooks, back in Rarotonga. Usually this is like this is like basically the Kokarin version of a Te Wira festival in Samoa. So this is like their constitution, they celebrate all things Cook Island, whether if it's singing, dancing, food, performing arts, arts and crafts and stuff like that. And I was blessed to be a part of one of the groups here called Vakataki Tumu. And, one of my friends just happened to be the cultural leader. And he was like, sis, I'd love for you to come, experience Te Maiwhenui with us. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so keen. It's something where, I don't have to lead because, at the time I was already leading, the Masiofo, to be launched. And it was just so cool to be a part of something, that I didn't have to lead. And I was like, oh, I can finally be, be a part of backstage and behind the scenes and stuff like that. But I think the hardest part for me was it's always going to be the costumes because, Cook Island costumes are so intricate, and the detailing of them is, it's you have to make sure that everything is right and everything is correct, and that there's certain ways where things have to be done correctly as well in terms of making Cook Island costumes. So I was slaving away on my sewing machine, sewing all the bands, the hip bands, the headbands, helping out with the hula skirts, the titties, the hats, the bras, everything. It was just, and it wasn't easy too because there was literally only about 15 of us, and we had to make, how many costumes did we make? About 80 costumes.
Wow.
So that was like, that's boys and girls costumes, and you can just imagine the time behind the scenes, with all the hula skirts that we use. So all of the hula skirts were flown in from Samoa. So they come as the normal, kiki fau, just in its natural state, and the process of bleaching them. Then you gotta color them, then you gotta dry them, then you gotta cut them. You got to fit them on certain dances and stuff like that. And, it was just like, it was, big ups to the costume team for Vakataki Tumu for 2K21, because honestly, it was getting to the point where, some of the costume team went sleeping for like at least 2 days because they wanted to get the costumes done. And I was just thankful that we didn't have to make those kind of costumes for the Masiofo. It was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad, the only things we need to do is literally, just small stuff. But yes, me and my friends, we do a lot of like a Samoa work. So, people hire us to dress them, whether if it's for a wedding or a birthday, stuff like that, or someone's just doing the dance. So usually, me and my friends, people will message us to be like, hey, can you dress my daughter for her 21st, for her Siva Samoa? So, me and my friends will go, we'll take all of our stuff, try on different things, see what looks better on her. We also make traditional turinga fafau as well, which is the salmon headdress that a lot of taupos and manayas wear. For me personally, I'm not the type. I don't. I'm sorry. I'm not the type of person that would just make the ones you just put on you just tied back. Yeah, that's not me. I'm not that type of person. I'm the type of person that will, assemble it piece by piece, how it was traditionally and how it was done back in the old days. Only because it just looks it just looks better, when you assemble it, traditionally, seeing the big hair, the kifa shells, the pule shells. It just adds that authentic, Samoan look of a tamaitai or Tom Samoa, especially when it comes to dancing as well.
So you have a team, right?
Yes.
Do you have a brand? Because I do. I've seen you, and I'm like, do you have a brand? Like, is that? Am I late to the show? Do you have a brand that I don't know about? Do you have like? You've got this team. Is that something that you want to establish if it's not already established in the future? Like you've got your academy, you're making these dreams, these small dreams that you had, you're making them a reality. So I'm just like, when's Jaroncye's brand coming out? Like because the work you and your team do, it's so beautiful and like you said, it's intricate. Just as with the different costumes, whether it be the Tongan,
Mm.
Tongan dancing or Cook Island dancing. What's the plan with that? Or did I already miss the memo? Is there a brand?
So with me and my friends, so we're called, so we give ourselves a name and it's called Lae Pasifika. So it's myself, Moni Lakatani, Aileen Ati, Jane Ohitupo, and Anga Sumulitupati. So there's 5 of us. Sorry, and also Maggie Maisake, 6 of us. So, we're the ones that go and dress people for, for these functions and stuff like that. We always keep telling each other, when are we gonna like start, launching a but we're just cruising at the moment. When it happens, it will happen. But you when it does happen, you'll see it go on Instagram and stuff like that. Honestly, we're the ones that are like, yeah. We'll find people to like design a logo, and we'll do all of this stuff, do all of that. But it's just like, everyone's so busy. Like, everyone's, trying to get their own coin, stuff like that. But, even at the end of all of that, we all, we always make time for, like, people who want to be dressed by us and stuff like that. Yeah.
Man, that is so cool. I want to talk about Siva creatives. I want to talk about that back-breaking move. You know what I'm talking about. I want to talk about it because, man, I remember the first time seeing that, and I was like, and then I was thinking, I wonder how long did it take for everyone to nail it. Tell me about that back-breaking move, man. I was hurting just watching it. Like, oh, what? It's beautiful and sync, beautiful, but damn,
totally.
damn, Jaroncye.
That's all props to the creatives of Siva.
Wow, shout out Siva creatives.
Shout out to Sarah Siva, it's Troy Tuua, Adeline Ati, Licky Jackson Burke, Talia Hunt, and Bob Sevilla. So honestly, these five, the Sarah Siva creators, honestly, there is no one like them out there.
Amazing.
These guys are like hardcore Southside, so I'm just like, yeah, we'll put that away, but just for now, like. Honestly,
it's all love. It's all love, family. It's all love.
We all love to see her. That's the main thing. No, but it's honestly, it took months, like, to perfect it. And when we were in rehearsals for Rosalina, and for our first season for Rosalina, honestly, I swear it was just like. Honestly, I'm not the skinniest girl, and when they did that, I was like. I looked at it, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. There is no way I can do that. I mean, they were like, what, it's either that or you're not in this particular dance. It's like, no, I want to be in the dance.
Yeah.
Honestly, it literally like 3-4 months. We had to get that, like, we had to nail it. There were sometimes at rehearsals, they'll be fine, they'll be lenient with us. I think there were the times where Troy would just stand there, he'll be like, back, and then you just see all of us like literally like backs touching the floor, and I was like, oh my gosh. But after months of rehearsing, it got easier. Like literally it got so much easier. Honestly, it was just like a piece of cake. At first, it was hard. It was so hard because not only that, it was leaning this way, and then you gotta glide, and you gotta lean that way, you gotta glide back, and then lean back that way.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was so much, especially for like someone as big as myself, to try and do all of that, but also keep in time as well. Like it was just so hard. But then when if I saw awe, it would just come to you like second nature. And it was
I mean, the reason why I ask is because in the dances, the performers are different sizes. But man, when you all did that, it was like everyone was so uniform and in sync, and you couldn't even tell that there were different sizes of dance. That was the amazing part. I was just like, how on earth did they? You like watching, and then I was just like, amazing.
Honestly, some days it was like a competition who could go back the furthest, and I was like, oh yeah, no, you want to challenge the big girls? Fine, let's do it. Honestly, it was like that, honestly, and then like after season 1 of Rosalina, and then come around season 2 of Rosalina, and then after season 2 of Rosalina, we had the Fatsina Manga Identity show at the Q Theatre in town. Honestly, by that one, literally everyone's going right down to the floor. Everyone's gliding at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, man, how do you do that? And I was like, honestly, after 3 seasons of doing it, it's like that. Literally comes to you like second nature.
I'm in awe. I'm still in awe. Every time I watch that, I'm just like, and now it's so interesting because I feel like now so many different groups and people are doing that, and it's like, hey,
totally.
Love a lot. Because you've seen this like massive group do it, and it's like, wow, man.
Honestly, and it's just like, when you start seeing, you see other people doing it, and it's like, man, like, and they'll be like, shout out to Zoe Siva, or shout out to Sis, blah blah blah, stuff like that. That was about 2 years ago. I don't think I can. I don't know. I don't think I can do it now. But
man, I'm in awe of your guys' work. So I want to go back a little bit. I want to talk about casting queens and La Salle divas, right?
Divas, yeah.
In the days of casting queens and La Salle divas, the queen's sisterhood. Nowadays, is the sisterhood still going strong? Is there, is the collective still going strong? Are they still ripping? Where is that at these days? Obviously, alumni right here.
Yeah.
It's an honor. But do you with the younger youth coming through, is that it wasn't. People were always like it was a rivalry, but it was not. It was just this real healthy rivalry, right? Like
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
dancing going on. So what's the how is that now? Like, do you?
Um, I think the time being, like, I definitely, I know that these casting queens, even
Mm.
now, at casting, the name will forever live
Yeah,
on in
forever.
casting. That name will never die in casting.
The
Honestly, it
K
does.
never,
Exactly. The K never comes down.
never, ever.
No, yeah, the Queens are still going strong right up
Mm,
until now. Like,
mm.
honestly, just seeing them, um, dancing or voguing at school, in the lunch breaks, and I'm like, man, I can't believe they used to be me back in high school.
Yes. Like, well, how does that make you feel knowing, like you said, the K never comes down, but to
Yeah,
see these young, like they're just so enthusiastic and full of energy, and
they
that
are.
they are
They
still ripping
literally
hard.
are.
I mean, there is no shame. They're really owning it, right?
Yeah,
They're owning it, and
they are owning
they're
it.
like, this is who I am, and that's what's up. And if you don't like that, they're so out there. And how does that make you feel when you look at these our
Yeah.
young people coming through, our young queens? Like,
Honestly, it just it makes me feel like, that our community, will be safe, especially being within an all boys school.
mm,
It's just seeing, their fellow peers or their fellow students, embracing them, as queens, as Indigenous people of color who fall under the LGBTQIA plus umbrella. Even seeing teachers nowadays, and these are the same teachers that used to give us
crap, give
crap
us
back in the
hell,
day.
like,
Like,
right?
honestly, they used to like rain on us back in
Mm,
high school. But seeing them now, like, embracing, our rainbow kids within the school, you used to think, oh my gosh, like, is it because of us that, we've peeled back that hard armor that these teachers used to wear. Is it because of, the way we used to be that, we've finally, softened, a particular teacher's heart. Just seeing them embrace the casting queens. Honestly, we've come so far, like, so far, like, from back in my days,
yeah.
it was not the tea. Like, honestly, back in my days, I think at the most there was like at least 30 of us at one time.
Mm,
So you can imagine, the presence of the casting queens, within such a staunch all boys school.
right.
It was, it wasn't always safe. It wasn't always safe, but we were each other's safe havens. Back in high school, just seeing, um, you know, um, older queens like myself, and also other queens who are going back to the school, giving back to the casting queens, helping, bring the queens up, to be better people when they leave school, and making sure that that everything is okay at home, and stuff like that. It's just, bringing awareness about trans folk into these kind of spaces, like, being at an all boys school. Obviously, you know rewinding back to my years, it's that wasn't, we were considered, like, we were like the shame of the school, because there were so many of us at Custom Boys, and then you had old students who were like, Custom Boys never had trans students or stuff like that, blah blah blah. You guys have brought Custom down to shame and stuff like that. But if it wasn't for Custom,
Mm,
like, none of us would have been able to come together like how we have today. And it's still the little queens voguing the house down, and custom boys at the moment. Like right now, there's a viral video going around of one of the custom queens, and she literally does like a Vogue job on the concrete. Like she like jumps, like fully jumps in the air, like fully lands on her leg, and then like all the boys are like going crazy. I've seen it viral all over Twitter, all over Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm just like, the cane never comes down.
Man, you were just questioning. Was it us? Was it you and your year? Those that was it you that, the queens of your time that made those changes? You probably don't even know the impact that you've had on the younger ones coming through. Like you. They probably look up. They are no doubt look up to you. All those that have come before them. You guys, like laid out a path for them to be able to just really show who they are and to put themselves out there with pride. Like
honestly, and I sometimes I just sit there and look back and be like, man, what did we do? Like, to get all of this, like, I've had so many I've had so many people message me. If it's not that coming up to me, they're like, oh my gosh, love what you do in the community, stuff like that. And I don't know them like from above, so I'm just like, oh, thank you so much, like thinking, oh my gosh, what random, who was that? But I always seem to forget, like, things that we've done in the past, like as the custom queens, and if it's not that, then it's for church, stuff like that. It was, I always seem to forget, but like, oh my gosh, yes, sorry, I totally forgot. And that's what I'll tell people. They'll be like, remember I met you at, or remember you did this? I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm so sorry, I totally forgot. I'm so bad with remembering things. Like some things I'll remember, but then there's something so, oh my gosh, yes, that's right, I totally forgot, thank you. And it's just like, just hearing that, makes me think, man, like, the custom queens and the Lasso Divas have done something positive in the community. And honestly, I remember back in, I think it was like 2010 and 2011, we had these showcases.
I went to one of those. I was going to say,
that's right.
I went to one outside. Honestly, we were like, I remember with Unga, honestly, we were like, yeah, we're going to support Jaroncye. It was just the most amazing showcase.
Oh my gosh.
Custom Queens versus LaSalle Divas. Yeah, my gosh.
Honestly, those showcases used to be like, we used to be like, gosh, we have to make sure we're better than the Divas. Or, and we know it's the same thing from this. Like, gosh, we need to make sure we're better than the Queens. Yeah. But it's so funny, we always used to throw like, subtle shade, in each other's dances. Like we'll just like mock each other. Yeah. And stuff like that, but it's all friendly.
Yeah, it's all love. It's all love.
It's all love. Yeah.
So in terms of your queens and your sisterhood, like, do you still see some of your sisters around? Have some moved overseas? Like, do you keep in touch, or is it more your immediate group of friends from custom days? Like, do you still see some of the divas around? And
yeah, totally. Honestly, I see, majority of the queens, we're always messaging each other. If it's not there, we see each other on social media. It's same with the divas, we'll message each other, hi and bye here and there. But, we'll obviously see everyone on, doing their thing on social media and stuff like that.
Have you I can't remember. I don't know if I was making, I thought I saw something. Have you participated in any of the pageants? Did you participate in a pageant? Which pageant was that? Was it Auckland? Was it Auckland Samoa fee-neh pageant or?
No, it was the one back home in Samoa.
Oh, it was the one in Samoa. Tell us about that experience.
Oh my gosh! Honestly, just
because it was funny because I wanted to ask earlier and I thought, but I remember seeing you perform. So it was Samoa.
Yes, yeah. It was 2017. It was just like, I've always wanted to do it. And, it all started from when the Queens, we went to Samoa to perform for the Tawila Fest.
That's right.
And
Yes.
that was 2014. Yes, it was. We all went to Samoa as the Custom Queens.
Yeah.
To perform for the Tawila Fest. And, just seeing the girls there, the pageants there, I was like, wow, it's all this glitz and glamour and all of the sparkle. And I was like, man, I'd so love to do that one day. Like, I'd love to enter a pageant, just to see what it's like and stuff like that. And then fast forward to 2015, my best friend Siva,
Yes.
she wanted to go for the Miss MVPFAFF Association. And she was like, sis, I really want to go. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to go too. I'm like, you already knew I wanted to go to the pageant. So she was like, I know, but sis, I really want to go. And I was like, okay, fine. We'll go this year for you, but you better come when next year when I run. And we literally we didn't even have long as well to prepare for Steve's stuff. It was literally like a month and a half we had. So we literally had to prep everything beginning of July, and we had to be in Samoa by mid-August. And so, we did all of her stuff, her costumes, her talent, her gowns and stuff like that. And then she entered, she won. She won the title for Miss MVPFAFF Association. And then it was just like, being her chaperone, being her backstage person, it really did give me that kind of look, okay, so this is what I need to expect for when I run, so I know what the goal is, stuff like that. It was just like, man, it's so much work. Honestly, I remember when we were in Samoa, one of the days was there was like a parade kind of thing. The first thing that came into my head was like, oh my gosh, yeah, we get to be on the float, we get to be on the float, just waving at everyone. Hello, not knowing that we were the floats. And then they're like, yeah, that's so rude, but we're doing our walking flat. And I was like, oh, okay. And this is at 8 o'clock in the morning in town. The sun is beaming down on us. And I'm in this long ass mumu. I'm going to be standing on a float like I'm a contestant. And they're like, no, we're gonna be walking. And I'm like, damn, where the hell are we walking? Hello? I was like, where are we walking to? They're like, so we're walking from the Tate building and we're gonna walk all the way to Moka'a, but we're gonna go through Makauku. And I was
oh
like,
my gosh. Yung gala mo masay o fuere yo. Ele yo, ele came ele pension.
I was like, where are we walking to? They're like, we're gonna walk to Moka'a, but we're going to Makauku. I swear, I wanted to get us there. I was like, you are not bringing me on another bloody pigeon activity ever again this whole week. And I said, because honestly, we woke up so early. We did our hair, our makeup.
Have to.
I was in this long ass mumu, and I got honestly the worst shaving ever in my life. By the time we got to Moka'a, honestly, I had sewing my dress all the way up because it was just so hot under there. I was like, oh my gosh, let me go. Me, sing a Savili, honestly. It was so bad. And I said here, I was looking at Steve and I'm like, we are never doing this again. She was like, it's alright, are you okay? She was like, oh my gosh, my poor best friend. Hello, we texted all the way from Moka'a all the way back to our hotel in Taranaki. I was like, you know what, I'm never doing this again.
That's what you call love and friendship, man. Right there.
Honestly, I swear, I better have won the best friend award that year. And then, you know what's funny? The following year, 2016, you know, I was like, yeah, I finally get to compete. And then one of my other best friends, Jessica, so she wanted to enter into the Sophia's pageant. So back home in Samoa, they call it the Safa'a pageant, which is the Samoa Whawhawhine Association. But then, because Jess is from Bango, she's from Kukuila, she wanted to enter the Miss Sophia's pageant. So Sophia stands for Society of Whawhawhine I America Samoa. So Jess wanted to, you know, literally being from Bango, she wanted to enter that pageant. It wasn't until we got the news from them saying that, oh, you know, just can't enter because she needs, you know, she needs to be living here for at least 3 years in order for her to enter the pageant. And we're like, oh man, that sucks. And you know, Auckland were just launching, you know, they were putting out registrations for their pageant. And that was what I wanted to do. And I was like, yeah, I finally get to compete. And then Jess was like, oh, you know, I can't compete anymore. And I was like, fine. You can go. I'll go next year.
What a friend, man!
And then she was like, are you sure? I was like, yes, sis, you go. And honestly, if I thought Steve's year was hard, Jess's year was even harder because we literally prepped Jess for the Auckland pageant. She won. She won Miss Asafa'a, and we literally only had 3 weeks to prepare her from Auckland to Samoa. So after the Auckland pageant, there was no rest or anything. It was straight into like training, you know, for the Miss Asafa'a pageant back in Samoa, and it was like, you know, everything was happening so fast. And you know, at that time, she was the only one confirmed out of the cast and queens that she was going, and none of us had confirmed that we were going. And I was like, damn, like, you know, no one's gonna be able to, you know, chaperone Jason, because I had chaperoned Steve the year before. Like, you know, I had already known what to do and what not to do and stuff like that. And so I was like, damn, like, you know, Steve couldn't chaperone her because Steve was still the reigning from the year before. And I was like, man, okay. So I told Jess, I was like, I'll come with you, and, you know, to Samoa, we'll do all your activities. Just make sure we're not a part of the float parade. Walking on the Statue building. Oh, it's a mocha. And she was like, oh my gosh, she was so happy. And honestly, it was like even myself not being the contestant, but, you know, being there to help her, I was like, oh, I'm so over these early morning wake-ups, you know, getting her ready, you know, going to all the pre-pageant activities. I was over it, but, you know, it was by that time, like, you know, I had already known, like, you know, the ins and outs of what needed to be done and stuff like that. And then we just competed in Samoa. She didn't win, but she did come first runner-up. Which was good because, you know, considering, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, pageants and stuff like that, you know, obviously they're not going to let the New Zealand girls take it out 2 years in a row.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, just got first runner-up. And then came the following year, 2017, and like, you know what? None of you guys are going for any of those pageants. I'm the one that's going now.
You better step aside. I'm coming.
None of you better be wanting to go for any of the pageants this year. Honestly, and it was such a, like, man, like, that pageant it took such a huge toll on me. Like, you know, you know, working, like, honestly, literally, I'd start at 8 o'clock in the morning, finish at 4:30, and I'll go straight into, like, you know, pageant stuff. If it wasn't training, or was, like, you know, going over my talent, going over the speech, you know, making sure all my garments were ready and stuff like that. And so I was literally, for like a good, like, I think about a good month before I left New Zealand to go to Samoa, I was literally only getting like 2 hours sleep um each night. But that was my day. Yeah, and it was just like throughout that whole that month right up until I left,
Mm.
I was only getting 2 hours sleep, and it was just repetitive. That was my day. 2 hours sleep, get up ready for work, go to work, finish, come back, straight into pageant stuff.
Mm.
And everyone was like, "Man, like, how are you doing this? Like, are you not tired and stuff like that?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm tired, but you know, when something comes, when it becomes a habit,
Mm.
you know." Sorry, let me reread that. When you
Mm.
do something, repetitive, it becomes a habit, and it was just me getting into that habit of only getting 2 hours sleep, driving straight to work, and then coming back and then just focusing on pigeon stuff. And honestly, um, that week I flew into Samoa, literally, I've landed in Friday night, and pre-pageant activities that have started on that Saturday. And you know what? And I was like, I can't believe none of my best friends were there. I was like,
Oh.
excuse me, the past 2 years I've been there for you bitches, and none of you are gonna be. they're like, they're
Oh
like, we can't before, because of work, and I was like, it's all good, you know.
no.
But it was luckily enough that one of our other best friends, she lives in Samoa,
Okay.
so she was there to take me, to all our pre-pageant stuff. And then, just slowly throughout the week, my one of my girls, they started coming through. They were honestly making sure everything was done, was ticked off, everything was prepped. Honestly, I was even getting to that point where they're like, have you done your training? Blah blah blah. I was like, of course I haven't done my training. Honestly, I'll go there with my arms out and they're like, shh, like fully, like honestly, full body spray tan. They're like, we have to make sure that you're full. I'm so thankful for them, because I was so moody to them other day. I
Yeah.
don't know what it was, to be honest. Like, I was just real moody at
Yeah.
the pageant. Like, I don't know what came over me, but my best friends, they held it
Yeah.
down for me. Like,
Oh.
they packed like this massive ass cooler full of fruits and snacks and drinks. They even had like four fans,
Mm.
like all facing in, so that every time I finish a category, honestly, every time I finish a category, I'll run off, go in front of the fan to kind of cool down because there's no aircon at the back. And then they're patting me down with the towels. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Oh.
you guys are legit.
Now you guys are legit.
Hard up.
Oh
Honestly,
man.
it was one experience. Like everyone asks, would you do it again?
Yeah.
I'll be like, no, only because you know I wasn't getting enough rest.
Mm.
Um, I was like, I flew to Samoa with the biggest bags under my eyes. Like,
Mm.
it was so not funny, and it was just like, it was, the experience was good.
Mm.
Like the fellowship with the other contestants. Being there with my best friends.
Mm.
Alongside me, it was just like, you know, it was good. It was good for what it was, but if someone was to ask me would I ever compete again, I'd say no. Only because the preparation was,
Mm.
I wasn't ready for it. But in the end, we still got there.
It was an experience. You
Yes,
know,
definitely an experience for the books.
yeah. It actually takes me to my next question. Our perfect run to the next question because you are someone who seems like you don't stop. And it's not just listening to that experience of the pageant, but when I think about the different, productions you've been involved in, now you've got your own dance academy, Siva Academy, um, you have family things, just, then you're designing costumes. How does Jaroncye look after herself? How do you take time off to just relax and just kind of hang out with fam and the people that you love, like your tribe. Do you find time to do that? Because I feel like you're just always on the go. So how do you look after yourself in terms of self-care and wellness and your health?
Um, that's actually a really good question. Um, Honestly, what you see when I post on social media is literally like my life. Like, I'm the type of person where I like to keep myself busy. You know, it's just I've just always been that type of person to be on the go. To make sure that I'm busy with something. At the moment, obviously, being in lockdown and stuff like that. Now I'm finding the time to actually rest.
Mm.
And like proper rest, not like those 3 hours sleeps and then wake up back to work and stuff like that. It's like, getting proper rest. Um it has been, quite a stressful few months. I'm not gonna lie, it's like it's literally been, it has been a challenge. But it's if there's one thing that will always stick to me, it's always that God doesn't put you through certain obstacles that He knows you can't overcome. Um, and that's it's that's always stuck with me. It's I'm always the type of person where I'll keep pushing myself until literally I'm like lying in hospital or something. Um, but when I do get the time, like I'll go around with my parents, even if it's just tagging along with them during the day, like, they'll want to go do cutesy couple of things, and I'll be like, oh, I'll come, just to be third wheeler, but, it's just to be in the presence of my parents, because, it's, especially during the academy, I was hardly seeing my parents, my nieces and nephews, my siblings, and it just, it was a lot, because, I'm the type of person where, like, I'm always around my family, my sister, my nephew and stuff like that. But it was hard because and they knew as well that I had to put the academy first. Because it was something. It was they knew that it was something that meant so dear to me, and so of course, my parents were all my siblings were gonna back me 100 with that. But I think it was just like it's just simple things, sleeping in
Mm.
when I can, whether the one honestly the one times I try and sleep in is on the Sundays, but my mom's like fully banging my door down. She's
She's
like,
like, hey, Ola gave me a local. Because the soprano, the Alpha Bessa Nitra soprano, right? Don't even joke. I know.
honestly, those times, I'm just like, man, like just one Sunday, but it's always my mom at the back of my head. She's like,
Yeah.
you can go out six,
Yeah.
you have 6 days in a week to go out, do whatever you want. But it's just like the 1 hour on the Sunday just to go to church and praise God. Like, can you not do that? That will always stick with me at the back of my head. Honestly, it's always my mom. Like, she makes me feel so guilty. Like those kind of growlings in Samoan when like the words just like pierce your
Yeah,
heart,
it's like stabbing
and
you in
it's
the
like
right in the fatu.
literally
Right
stab
here.
right there.
Right?
Honestly,
Straight
and it's
through.
just like,
Straight
and it's like, it's literally that. Honestly, and I was like,
Oh.
man, I can't stupid. But my mom's right. She's like, you have 6 days out of the whole week, but
Yeah.
it's just 1 hour on the Sunday just to go praise God. I'm like, no, my mom is right. She's
Yeah.
putting me in check.
Yeah. I mean, we all have my mum. Don't even get me started, man. Yeah, I know exactly the same. Even when I come home for holiday and she still, church, hey.
Yeah, Hannah. Honestly.
Just thinking about the LGBTQAI plus community and thinking about, I guess, your journey, from a youth, from a teenager, and now a young adult and then an adult. Are there more when we think about these spaces for your Pacifica sisters and for the community? Are there spaces available? Is there support? Is there more support available now? Like, have you seen a shift? Have you seen that they are giving more resources to support your community, or do you think that it's still something that is kind of like people are still, do you know what I mean? Like, are
Yeah.
there people out there to support our young ones coming through, our young people
Mm,
coming through who need maybe a shoulder to lean on, maybe an ear to listen? Like, what do you
yes.
know
Yeah.
about those spaces?
Um, definitely, there is spaces, there are,
Mm,
organizations
mm,
that are out there specifically
mm,
for Pacifica LGBTQIA plus,
mm,
but also just being, Polynesian in itself.
mm,
And, I'm very blessed to be a part of the fee-neh program, um, which they aim to help people who fall under the Pasifika LGBTQIA umbrella within the Auckland region.
mm,
And, this program is run by Felicia Brown Acton.
mm,
She is such a um, she is such a pillar within our community, especially being trans person of color,
mm,
to be someone, in her profession, especially at her age, is literally like, honestly, I can't imagine anybody else better to be in that role, but Auntie Fee, like, she's literally helped us, with our goals, and goal setting, making sure that we're achieving our goals and stuff like that. And it's just like, people like her. We need people like her in our community. If not her, then we need more people, exactly like Auntie Fee, helping out our community out there. And, I'm just so blessed, to be taken under her wing, because she is another person that used to dance back in her day. She's another costume maker. Honestly, like, Auntie Fee does it all, and I'm just so blessed that that she's taken me under her wing. That I've been able to learn certain skills from her, and she's always looking out for her kids. Like myself, the Custom Queens, the Lifestyle Divas, and the Auckland Samoa Queens Association. She looks after so many people. Um, Literally, pre-COVID, like, it was so hard to even try and catch her in the country. Like,
mm,
she was literally flying everywhere for like conferences. She was like in Singapore. If she's not in Singapore, she's in Hong Kong. If she's not there, she's in Europe. Like, literally, it was so hard to try and catch her while she was here in New Zealand. But even though she's in New Zealand now, she's busy working. She's got clients. That she goes and visits. She's part of like all sorts of programs and stuff like that. And it's it's like it's those kind of people and those kind of programs that we that I'm thankful for, that are out there for our community. You know, these are those kind of programs that are done by our community for our community. So
yeah.
yeah.
Man. So in terms of le Masiofo Siva Academy, what plans do you have for the future, or what do you have another recital coming up? What's coming up for you, for your team and your kids?
So the Masiofo Academy. So it's funny because not even 5 minutes after our show, parents were already coming up to the list. Hey, well done. Do a second term, blah blah blah. Do another term, do another term. It was so. Um, I was so happy to hear this coming from parents and grandparents and stuff like that. But the reality is, like, it was so much work. Like, if there's anything I've done in life, the Masiofo Academy takes the cup, because
Mhm.
you know you had to cater to 240 kids. Not only that, you had to cater to their parents too. And it was like, big ups to our admin and our accounts team, Steve Awina, Leolangi Kalepo. Honestly, these guys were literally like our front line for the shows. We had Leolangi at the doors doing ticketing, and then we had Steve, who was in Sydney at the time of our show, sending out comms, emails to parents and stuff like that. Um, yeah, it was a lot of work, but I think what the tutors have emphasized is that we can't keep pouring from an empty cup, and just from our first term, and we always said that our first term was going to be trial and error for us. It was just so that we could see what not to do and what we could improve on for the next term. But the Masiofo Siva Academy, we won't be doing anything until next year, only because we want to plan it properly. Myself and my fellow tutors, we want to come back fully energized, ready to take on another term. Originally, we did want to do a second term this year, which would have been starting at the end of September. But because everyone's working, everyone's got their work life, their own personal life, and then we've got to think about kids and exams, Christmas and stuff like that, White Sundays. Those are the kind of things we had to take into account if we were to do a second term this year. But we did all agree that the Masiofo won't be doing another term until same time next year.
That's so cool. I'm really looking forward to that. I guess we're at the point of the show where I just want to give thanks to you. I will hand it over to you after, just to kind of give some words of encouragement and to end our show. But before I do that, sis, man, I think I said to you off camera, before we went live that you're very inspirational. And I think not just in your community, but I think just like I love seeing what you're doing out there. You're in schools, you're in the community, you're in church. You wear so many different hats, sis, and you're not someone who does something just for the sake of doing it. I always see you giving 200%, and that is so inspirational. You're so committed to everything that you do, whether it's that back-breaking move or making costumes or just, your dance academy, your Siva academy. I love, like, you don't know how proud I am to see, like, one of the young ones coming through EFKS, and now you're still in EFKS, ripping, bringing up West Auckland, West Side, that's what's up. I mean, it's so inspirational, and I love that you're out there just making a difference and just,
Thank you.
impacting lives and influencing our Pasifika people, in so many different ways. Like, I don't think you realize um the extent of influence and impact that you're having on others. I think you're just too humble. I think you're just someone who just really goes about and does what you do best, and so for me personally over here and seeing what you're doing, it's cool, and I want you to just keep going, sis. Keep, being that role model, be that inspirational person, um, and just, yeah, keep repping West Auckland and Efakasa, and I can't wait to see what's next. Coming in 2022 for Le Masio for Siva Academy. I can't wait to see what production you're going to be in next. Um, I mean, man, it's just I don't know what else to say, but just keep being beautiful, keep going 200.
Thank you,
You
sis.
inspire me. You inspire me. So just keep on. And so now I'll just hand it over to you. Just some words of encouragement for our listeners, just for anyone really. And yeah. take it away.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's been a blessing. Just being able to be in your creative space. In terms of your podcast, it's been a pleasure sharing a bit of myself on here. But if there's any words of encouragement, all I can say is, just live life to the fullest. There's a saying that goes, we only live once. There's a saying that goes that we only live once, which is wrong. We don't. We die once, but we live every day. So just live day like it's your last day on earth. Always remember that family is everything. It doesn't matter how many close friends you have. Always remember that your family is everything. They're the ones that are going to be there throughout the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it will always be family over everything. But yeah, if you're going to do things in life, just make sure you're doing it for the right purposes. And if you are doing it, make sure you're doing it wholeheartedly as well. But yeah, that's
right there. Right there.
Me.
That's Jaroncye, the one and only. Actually, I did forget something. How rude of me. Just want to say one more thing. Maola, and Molly, because every time I see Molly, I remember growing up, and she was always such the supportive, always supportive Faletua, and I appreciated
Very
that.
much
Even though we weren't part of your church or youth, so please pass on my love to
thank you,
Maola and Molly, and stay safe out there, sis. And hope we can catch up again when you're up in Hollywood. When you're in Hollywood, when you make it to Hollywood.
Definitely, when I make it there, I'll be like, West Side, West Side.
West Side,